The paradox of the heap, also known as the Sorites paradox, challenges our understanding of vague terms by asking, if removing one grain from a heap still leaves a heap, at what point does it stop being a heap? This same paradox applies to concepts like height. If someone who is 6 feet tall is considered tall, would someone who is 5'11"? Similarly with age, we all agree that an 85-year-old person is old. But what about someone who is 84, 83, or 70? At what precise point does someone transition from not old to old? The paradox extends to health concepts too. If 104 degrees F is definitely a fever and 98.6 degrees F is definitely not, there must be some precise temperature that marks the boundary, yet we can't identify it. When building a house, we face the same conceptual challenge. At what exact moment does it transition from under construction to being a house, when each additional component makes only a tiny difference? Urban planners encounter this paradox when determining city boundaries. Where exactly does rural end and urban begin when the transition happens house by house, street by street? Deforestation presents another example. A forest with one fewer tree is still a forest, but continue this process, and eventually you're left with no forest. Yet we cannot pinpoint the exact tree that makes the difference. In art criticism, we confidently label some works as realistic and others as abstract, yet we struggle to identify the precise point where realism ends and abstraction begins. Educators confront this paradox when grading. If 90% is an A and 89.9% is a B, the tiniest difference in performance creates a categorical change. Yet this boundary is ultimately arbitrary. This paradox ultimately reveals the limitations of human language and categorization. Our discrete concepts attempt to organize a world that exists on continuous spectrums with no natural breaking points.